Episode, where did I put my vape? There it is. Episode 5. I haven't had enough tea today again. I'm recording these very early in the morning. But yeah, episode 5 and the final part of the three-parter to do with Chemnovatic. Part 1, which is episode 3, we had a look at the basics of Chemnovatic, what they do, a general introduction of Chemnovatic, plus a little bit of the business side of things as well. The episode previous to this is the big one, which was all about nicotine, and there was a lot of questions that people were asking, not just in the old Vaping With Vic forum before it shut down, but also in the Vaping With Vic group, although there's not as many questions as there used to be about the general differences between nicotine salt and nicotine freebase, the new hybrid nicotine that's making inroads. That was all covered in the previous episode. However, Chemnovatic are also very well known for their flavours, and it's kind of like a spin-off company known as Mollenberry. I think they used to be called Malik years ago, but they're called Mollenberry now, are very, very predominant over in the European Union. Some of you might have heard of Mollenberry here in the United Kingdom. It's basically an offshoot of Chemnovatic. It's their flavour division. They come up, devise, plan out and actually make flavours in Chemnovatic. Now again, if you're in the European Union, not so much in the UK, but if you're in the European Union, the odds are if you're vaping a liquid, of course you're vaping a liquid. The liquid that you've got in your tank or your dripper or your pod, whatever bottle that you've got in your hand that you go to fill up your tank, pod, dripper, whatever, the odds are you're probably using a Chemnovatic nicotine. But there's odds on top of that as well that one of the flavours, or maybe even all of the flavours that are making up that liquid, especially if it's a liquid manufacturer that's based in the European Union, those flavours probably came from Chemnovatic. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff in the background. Black vine. With the usual black vine setup in the house. Lovely. So, in this episode, we're going to be looking at the flavour side of Chemnovatic. The basics, you know, how long does it take a new flavour to reach the market? What are the differences, the major differences between flavour profiles in the United Kingdom and the European Union? That kind of thing. And at the back half of this review, we're going to dive a bit more into the Vapy range, which is Chemnovatic's own e-liquid range. Again, mostly in Europe, they're not really here in the UK, at least right now, although with the warehouse opening up for Chemnovatic soon, that might end up changing by the end of this year. And we're going to talk a little bit more business. On to the interviews.
Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Emil and I am sales manager at Chemnovatic. So I am mainly responsible for selling goods and for making the customers finally satisfied after receiving the products. I am working at Chemnovatic more than 8 years right now, so almost from the beginning.
Almost from the beginning?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I still have this same passion when I started here, because the goal for us is simply to help people to give up smoking through vaping, which is beneficial for both the business but also the people's health, which is for us very important as well.
So, to do with flavours, because Chemnovatic deal a lot in flavours. Just an overall broad aspect, you don't need to go into the major details, but how long does it take for a brand new flavour to go from planning into retail?
Actually, as you mentioned, the process of adding the flavor can be simple from the people which are not the producers in general. We are the producer of the flavors, and for us the element of adding the new flavor to our portfolio is very important. When I give you the time, I will only focus on, for example, the selection of the final taste without what is going on before. So, for example, if we did our homework and check the supply chain in terms of the quality, in terms of the guaranteed supply chain, repeatability, etc. So I am assuming that I got the raw materials which I am 100% sure in terms of the quality, TPD requirements, etc. Because we need also take into account the regulation. So if I have right now only the choice which of the 5 strawberries I should launch for the quote, then will last around a month in our company.
Right.
Because we have R&D department responsible for that, and they give us the option which one is for them the best one. But we would like also to check the opinions of the workers inside. So
testing, in other words.
Exactly. So all this testing, then publications, etc., will last around a month. But as I mentioned, I am giving you the time once was done before the production, etc. Stuff in terms of the quality, etc. I got only several choices which has been checked before, and then we are launching. So 1 month, I think it is the time when we will be able to implement it.
1 month, right? Yeah. So on the same subject of flavours, the European Union, along with the UK, there are trends that happen when it comes to flavours coming in and flavours coming out. For instance, do you sell more fruit flavours to one company compared to another, the kind of trends that go on within the EU?
Yeah, it is actually a good question that you mentioned about the European Union, because there are 2 aspects for this question. One aspect is, for example, once I see which one is popular in terms of the customer choice, the second is the limited choice of the customer because of the government's regulation. So there are countries in the European Union, especially Nordic one, which, for example, prohibit other taste than tobacco. So then you have the limited choice. But apart from the regulation, what we observe right now is that actually the simple tastes are what the customer sooner or later can back. Because we have the mixes, for example, which are good for certain season, but we observe that the regularly sold products are the single taste. In our company, for example, big watermelon is one of the example, which is very popular. For example, I have a good customer from the UK, which buy a lot of the big watermelon. We have natural green tea as well, which is selling quite good. We have the bubble gum as well.
That comes in and out of popularity. It's like a cycle with bubble gum. And what I have been observed quite recently is also cherry, which is also quite popular in terms of the sales. Cherry, I'm surprised at that one. So again, on the flavour side of things, this can be a tricky one. What's the most popular flavour sales-wise? And if you want to, you can separate the UK from the EU, because I know that the UK has slightly different flavour trends. Like, we love custards. We love custards. So what's the most popular flavour sales-wise?
Right now, watermelon is what is the best-selling product, which is number 1 on my list right now. And I see that tendency that in each country, the watermelon is present. In some of the countries, it is selling in higher volumes, in lower one, but it's present in general.
So it's a catch-all for the EU, basically, I'm actually surprised at that one, watermelon. Because normally when you think of a country like, you know, like watermelon, Italy, the Mediterranean regions where it's warmer, you would think watermelon would be, but Germany, where it's not as warm, I'm kind of surprised at the watermelon side of things. So that basically covers everything. You've basically covered all the flavour side of it. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you, Vic, once again.
So for the people watching this, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Hello, my name is Stefan. I'm in a Chemnovatic company since 2016. I am person responsible for our own brand called Vapy. Chemnovatic generally started in 2013, and in 2016 I came to Chemnovatic owners and we figured out together that we should start to making our own brand. Actually, my history regarding the vaping was quite similar to yours. because I was smoking regular cigarettes.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
feel unhealthy about that. I feel so I tried to figure out something better for me. In 2014, I've actually tried by my cousin the first electronic cigarettes, which I've tried in my life. But it wasn't too good for me. It was too strong, so that's why I decided that this is not for me. But after 2 years, I decided that maybe this is the solution. The liquids and the devices are getting better, so maybe this is the solution for me as well. So in 2016 we start Vapy. First of all with the simple flavors. We didn't want to make it as the rest of the world, like people trying to make it as look as best as it can be, to people buy it, to try it, just try it, yes, something like this. We want to make it smooth and clearly. Just try it, and if you don't smoke, don't try it. But if you smoke regular cigarettes, try it. Believe me, you'll feel better. Yeah. People are addicted from the nicotine from the two sides. One is that feeling what you need to have the nicotine.
That's me.
Yeah. Me too. And second one is that people need to have something in their hands. They have a time, the psychical one, that in the meantime at the work they need to get out and have a quick smoke. You can try a different solution to work on yourself to get quick of the smoke, but in my opinion, electronic cigarettes are the best to fight with the regular cigarettes. In one hand you've got you can add the nicotine to your body. In the other hand, you still got the smoke. You still got something in your hand, in your pocket, and that's why I came to the Chemnovatic, and we decided that if they are doing a real nice job regarding the bases, the nicotine, the OEM solution for the other companies, why don't we try to make something by our own? And that's how we start. We are trying to learn all the time. Ever since that, we've made 19 brands of the liquids since 2016. Everyone, I think, it's better and better all the time. Over 120 flavors. And actually, in 2016, when we start, we won awards for the best candy liquids. So on the Polish Expo, and that was the moment when we thought that maybe we are not so bad on this, maybe we could try to push it harder. And then since then we start to visit the expo in whole Europe. In 2018 we won the award on the Intertabak Dortmund as the best exclusive line of the liquids on the German market. And in 2018 in Birmingham on the Vapor Expo we won the award as the best combination of tobacco and fruits liquids.
That's where I've heard the name before, because I was at the 2018 Expo. Thought I heard that name. It was bugging me for a while. That's where I heard it. 2018,
Exactly. Since that time, actually, we start sell our products in 18 different countries. We've got different solution ready for the TPD regulation, as well as the outside. But all the time, we are trying to have all the same flavors and the same quality in different markets. So if if you are from UK and go for a holiday to Spain, you still got the possibility to buy the same product. I know that people are just looking for something new all the time. But in my opinion, if someone is smoking tobacco with sherry, he will always come back to this flavor because this is the best feeling for him. That's why we are trying to focus on that subject, if we can say.
So the Vapy line, you've got the liquids, you've got these here. Anything else in the lineup for the actual company itself?
Yes, actually in sale right now we've got basic brand is Vapy. It's the basic flavors. Second brand, we decided that, for example, if even McDonald's got different sandwich for the winter and for the summer, so that's why we create the line called Vapy Spring, Summer, Autumn, and Winter. And those are flavors chosen specific for that type of the year. When it's summer, people like more cooler, to feel better. When it's winter, we sell more, jam, which is very sweet. So that's why this is the second part of the line. And another line is called Dollar. Though we sell them in golden bottles, and since 2 months we start to sell it as a solution of hybrid classic nicotine and nicotine salt.
Yeah.
And they are available in 10 ml boxes as a TPD, full regulated product, and they are getting quite more popular in each country right now.
So there we go, folks. Chemnovatic is not just about the separate individual. You've actually got liquids. Once again,
Exactly.
sir, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, for the people watching, introduce yourself to the audience. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, my name is Martin Górecki, and I'm the Legal Regulation Manager in Chemnovatic.
Now, we've got 2 questions for you, but it's 2 of the heavy-hitting questions, especially the second one. We'll start off with the first one, though. Compared to 2016, which a lot of people describe as the golden age of vaping, before heavy regulation came in, there was, in that market, much more emphasis on e-liquid compared to now with the rise of disposables. Are you seeing any kind of difference at all to do with the e-liquid market back then compared to what it's like now in 2022?
Yeah, I actually do, and there's lots of differences. I can say which one is the biggest one for me, but definitely I would say that first of all, because of the regulation, I must say the quality of the liquids increased a lot, and definitely when it comes to the ones that are regulated. So this is a big change, and I'm not only talking about composition, but also about the packing, the awareness of the product, and also that this whole regulation created this trend that these products became more and more popular, and there's a big discussion went through all over the world, because as EU began with the TPD2 regulation, many countries follow EU, and they decided to make, as an example, the same regulation in their countries. So it was a big thing, and also the awareness that I mentioned, that people started to think about these products in a different way, and also the positive one, that it's a harm reduction product.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also many companies, the big ones and the tobacco companies, started to look at these products as some new alternative, and they decided to invest in these products. And it became, I think, something big all around the world, and it still is, because the regulation is still evolving. So this was just the start, the beginning, and now it still is changing, and we have to follow up. So this is something big and something that we have to follow. And of course, we don't mind if the regulation is changing or it's happening or there's something new, but the thing we would like to have is to have a smart regulation.
Yes, yeah. And on that subject, that just blends in perfect with the next question for you. This is a question I've always liked to ask guests on the UK Vape Show. I've always liked to ask industry leads from the hardware side of things. Like I once asked this question of one of the marketing team for Vapor Esso, and they got completely stumped. Right, so here's the question to you. You're a member of the European Council, or you're voted into the European Parliament. Either way, you're part of the European Ministry for this next coming term. You're given one free pass to either change a law for the next TPD, or remove a law for the next TPD, or add one. What's your choice and why?
Okay, it's a very hard one. Yeah, but there's so many things that I would love to add or love to delay. But the one thing that I would do is to change the whole process of getting this new regulation. What I mean is not to process it as directive, but make it a regulation, like a REACH or CLP regulation.
Right.
And now why? Because then it would be one regulation for the whole EU. Everyone would have the same rule. So it will be so easier for us to then go with our products from Poland, for example, go to Germany, to Finland, place the same product you have to of course translate the
yeah.
markings and everything, but you would be sure that you're putting a compliant product, and you wouldn't have to think about
The individual country.
yeah, do I have everything right and correct? And are there some local regulation that I don't know about,
Yeah.
maybe? And maybe if I put the product on the shelf in the, in a shop, someone would say, this is not good, not correct. So this is the one thing I would change, not a directive, make it a one regulation, the same for whole EU. And that's my point of view.
Now here's the thing, I've been doing these questions for the better part of 9 years. You're the first one to say that.
Yeah.
You are the first one to say that, and the best part is it makes complete and total sense. Like for instance, Germany, there is the 2 mil capacity limit, or is it 4 mil? It's either 2 mil or 4 mil capacity limit on tanks, which is why pod kits are generally 2 mil. But in Germany, they ignore that. They just ignore it. The UK, we don't. So Germany gets big tanks like Steam Crave, but when it hits the UK market, half the stuff coming in from the likes of Steam Crave, but their 20 mil tanks, gets stopped at customs. What you're saying is, instead of making it a framework, which is what the directives are,
Exactly.
where countries can pick and choose what they want, make it an actual rule.
Yeah.
Flat out rule where all the countries have to actually be part of the same list of rules, which avoids confusion.
And I'm saying this because our job, basically every day, is to keep up with the changes. So it makes it difficult to follow up all of these changes, and we have to create this huge database for each country separately. And as it is a TPD directive, every country decided to make it a little bit different. And our job is to find these differences and then put a compliant product on the market. So if we would change that, make it one rule for whole EU, that would be so much easier, I think, for everyone.
For everyone, for liquid makers, for hardware manufacturers, for shops, for distributors.
Yeah.
You're the first person to actually say that in that question. The first one, and it makes a lot of sense, and I'm surprised no one thought of it before. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
That was very informative.
And there we have it, folks. That essentially wraps up the Chemnovatic three-parter, covering Chemnovatic as a company, covering nicotine, the middle episode, and now with this episode that you've just finished watching, covering the flavour side of things, a little bit of the market, a little bit of the TPD side of things thrown in there. It's a kind of all-round general look, not just at Chemnovatic itself, not just at nicotine, but the perspective of a nicotine distiller and flavour manufacturer working within the boundaries of the TPD and TRPR. And there's already tentative talks about a second visit for me over in Lublin in Poland to do a revisit to Chemnovatic. And of course, if you're at the UK Vapor Expo coming up this May, Chemnovatic are going to be there. So pop into the Chemnovatic stand, have a chat with them and say hi. This is the thing, I mean, I think it's every single UK Vapor Expo, Chemnovatic have been there. And I'll be the first to admit, I've just walked straight past them because I look at the Chemnovatic stand and I think one of the times they had like a miniature bottling machine there. I think it was years ago, back in the 2017 or 2018 Expo from what I remember. And I'm like, wow, that's cool, and walked on. Because I had zero interest in the business side of liquid making, but as I kept on reviewing, and more especially as the European Union, especially with the TPD, with rumours that have been going around for a good number of years now, and with what we are seeing happening in Germany right now, with the European Union and certain countries in the European Union going after vaping to raise taxes up, more people are getting interested in DIY. That's the whole point of this series that's running right now, especially the final 2 episodes. But with DIY comes nicotine. Chemnovatic With DIY comes, I don't have any bottles of Chemnovatic flavour, because they're all over there. But with DIY comes flavouring. Chemnovatic come into it as well. And this is one of the reasons that season 3 is actually coming up before the hobbyist side of things. There is going to be more and more people who will be dipping their toes into the realms of DIY liquid mixing, because especially if your government is raising taxes to the point that you can no longer afford to buy those 50ml short fill bottles or to buy those 100ml short fill bottles, and it'd be much cheaper for you to go down the road of DIY liquid mixing. Who better to answer questions about nicotine? Who better to answer questions about the flavour market than the company that actually makes them both, the nicotine distillate side of things and the flavour side of things? A massive thanks to everyone over at Chemnovatic who made me feel extremely welcome over the course of the 4 or 5, I think it was 4 days. Over the course of the 4 days I was over there. Again, there is very tentative talks about me heading back over there sometime this year for basically a second look and hopefully a much more detailed look at the processes that go on inside Chemnovatic. Anyway, that wraps up everything to do with the middle three-parter to do with Chemnovatic. Now, the next 2 episodes, episode 6 and episode 7, they will be going up separately. So next week will be episode 6 and the week after that will be episode 7. If you go back to episode 1 and 2 and look in the description of those 2 videos, there is a miniature shopping list in there. Now again, for the nicotine side of things, you're probably going to have to buy a bunch of short fills. I'll be talking about the measurements and how many short fills to put in when we're actually doing the mixing video, because a lot of you out there will simply not be able to get your hands on 72mg nicotine, because under law in the UK, you've got to be a business, just a registered business. That's why I can get my hands on this stuff. But under law in the UK, you've got to be a registered business to actually get your hands on 72mg nicotine. There is loopholes that I'm not going to discuss here. If you know, you know. I'm going to leave it there. But for most of you, you'll be much safer using nicotine shots. But in those 2 episodes, episode 1 and 2, there is a short shopping list, digital scales, little cordless whisk thing that you don't need to buy. You can just shake it in the bottle if you want to do it that way. Bottle, where to buy the bottles, where to buy the flavours, where to buy your PG and VG. I am taking this from the standpoint of someone who's watching this right now who has never mixed in their life, or never mixed an e-liquid in their life. Because again, a lot of you watching this, you're probably going to be new vapors. So next week, episode 6 is going to be a single flavour. That's all it's going to be. A simple, single flavour e-liquid. Like a fruity mix, or maybe a strawberry and cream, whatever I've got behind me essentially. But the episode after that, which is going to be episode 7, the final part of series 3, is going to be a multi-layered mix, some kind of fruit, custardy, creamy thing. It's not going to be a peach custard because I'm selling that now. I'm selling that under exceptional vapes, but it might end up being a variant of peach custard, maybe a strawberry custard. Strawberry Bavarian cream custard. Oh, that actually sounds good. Strawberry Bavarian cream custard. I like creamy custard flavours. I've always loved creamy custard flavours. I'll figure something out for for episode 7. Anyway, if you do want to mix along next week, the shopping list is at the bottom of episode 1 and the bottom of episode 2. Now's the time to buy it. That way you know you're going to get it in time before episode 6 actually pops up. Again, massive thanks to everyone at Chemnovatic for making me feel extremely welcome over at your HQ in Lublin in Poland. That's it for episode 5. On to episode 6.